The special favor of Allah, Holy Allah. The universe is the body and its soul, Holy Allah.
Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidil Mursaleen. Amma ba'd, fa'a'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Rasulullah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Habiballah. As-salatu wassalamu alayka ya Nabi Allah wa ala alika wa ashabika ya Nur Allah. Viewers of Madani Channel, welcome to this series of programs called Yesterday, Today and Tomorrow. And in this series of programs, we delve into our rich heritage. Yes, I've said it many, many times before, and I'll say it again. We have a very, very, very rich heritage. And therein lies the problem. The problem is that we have it, but we don't know much about it. And inshallah, in this series of programs, we delve into our past, look from our past, and try to learn some lessons from our past as well. And so what we normally do on these series of programs, we try to look at certain individuals or certain personalities, but we also choose certain topics as well that, inshallah, as a result of that, we can try and learn something from our pious predecessors of how they dealt with them situations. So in learning about our individuals, the pious predecessors, their lives and how they lived their lives, but also learning about how they dealt with certain situations, how our pious predecessors dealt with situations, how the Sahaba Kiram, the companions of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, dealt with situations, and also how the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam himself dealt with them. And in listening to this and reading about this, then inshallah we hopefully can try and learn something. The aim of this program is let's learn something from yesterday. Let's learn something from our past so that we can make a change today so we can have a better tomorrow. As you know, at the beginning of every program, we give you a blessing of reciting Durud Pak upon the Prophet of Allah sallallahu ta'ala sallam. And today is no different. The blessing that we have today is that the final messenger of Allah sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wasallam has said, undoubtedly, Allah Azza wa Jalla has appointed an angel to my grave. He's been granted the ability to hear the voice of every creature. Hence, whosoever recites salat upon me until the day of judgment, he, the angel, presents to me that person's name along with his father's name, and he says to me that so-and-so, son of so-and-so, has recited salat upon you at this time. Allahu Akbar. Inshallah, in today's program, we're going to try and highlight that a little bit. What is an ill omen? What is a good omen? What we can act upon and what we should not act upon as well. There's a parable that I want to share with you. And in it, there was a king and his companions, they were going out hunting one day. And as they were going towards the jungle, sounds of horses' hooves were clearly heard in the dead silence. Many of the passers-by, as they heard the horses coming, they moved to one side so that these people can get through. As soon as the king, he reached near the city wall, he saw a one-eyed man coming from the opposite direction. The king cried in fury when he found him coming from the opposite direction. And he screamed, he said, this is an extremely ill omen. Doesn't this accursed one-eyed person know that one should step aside when the royal procession is passing? But this ill-omened, one-eyed person has proved to be extremely accursed by crossing our path. So the king, what he then did is, he ordered his soldiers that grab hold of this person, tie him up, bound him here in the hot sun, and then when we come back from the hunt, I'll decide how to deal with him. The king, when he went into the jungle, he had a very successful hunt. Whatever animal he wanted to hit, he hit. Whatever bird he wanted to hit, he hit. You know, and people were commenting to the soldiers and the companions were commenting that, you know, you've not missed a single shot today. Today your shots have been, you know, bang on and everything. You know, any animal that he wishes to hunt, he found it and he killed it. Now in the evening, as they were coming back, and what they did is they put all of the dead animals on a cart. And as they were getting close to the city walls again, the king saw that person. And all of a sudden he remembered, he saw that person, the one-eyed person. But at the same time, the cart was passing by with all these animals on. And this one-eyed person, he shouted out that who is a bad omen, me or you? Who is a bad omen, me or you? And this obviously the possession, they stopped and said, well, what are you saying? How dare you say this? How dare you say this? And again that person screamed, he said, who is a bad omen, me or you? Tell me who is ill omen, me or you? And when I saw you, I had to be tied in the scorching heat of the sun all day, and I was fasting throughout the whole day, whereas you saw me. And when you saw me, you hunted a large number of animals and birds. Having seen this, the king, he felt ashamed, and he immediately freed him and gave him lots of gifts and favors. This king thought that the one-eyed person was a bad omen for him. This superstition caused the king to punish him and imprison him in the sun all day long, because he thought that this person was a bad omen. But even then the king hunted and successfully hunted. And so we realize from this that no animal, no individual is a bad omen. Remember, the person who suffers from the evil of superstition, the person who considers everything to be ill-omened, sometimes deceived by unwise people, a superstitious person makes a wrong decision, and by making a wrong decision, not only does he put himself in trouble, but he also causes trouble for others as well. Considering, listen to this, to consider a Muslim to be ill-omened can make us suffer the evil of hatred. The superstition of bad omen is the weapon of shaitan, causing Muslims to fight and quarrel one another and destroy their peace. So this idea of a bad omen and ill omen, it has no footing in Islam. And Sayyidi Ala Hazrat, Imam Ahmad Raza Khan, rahmatullah, he was once asked this question. He was asked that, the same type of question, he said that, he was asked that it is famous about a person that if someone sees a bad omen face in the morning, and while going somewhere for work, and he comes before someone, that person will certainly face some problems and have worries. No matter how greatly he is sure that his work will be done, yet he feels that he may have some obstacles and worries. So such people have this experience every time as per their thoughts, and they continue to take care of that if going somewhere they come across him. They come back to their homes and then go to their work later on after getting it confirmed whether the ill-omened person is there or not. Now the question arises, how are these beliefs and the manner of these people? Is there anything against Sharia or not? So Sayyid Ala Hazrat was questioned to him that some people, when they see a person and they think that person is a bad omen, rather than continuing with their work, rather than going forth, they turn back, they go home, they wait until they are sure that that person will not come on the path, and then they come out again. Because they feel that if they continue with their journey, that they will have a bad day no matter what. And so Sayyidi Ala Hazrat was asked that, is there anything against Sharia in this or not? Sayyidi Ala Hazrat replied simply, there is no reality of this in Sharia. It is the superstition of people. Sharia says, i.e., when a bad omen comes into your mind, do not act upon it, because this is the manner of the Hindus. On such occasions, Muslims should do their work and trusting in the Rabb. They must not stop at all, nor should they come back. Meaning that if you see something and you think this is a bad omen, this is a bad sign, don't listen to it, don't act upon it, don't worry about it. Put your trust in Allah. Put your trust in Allah and go forward. Don't look at anything as a bad omen. The religion Islam condemns such lack of superstitions and thoughts and which hurt someone's feelings. So what is the definition of an omen? We need to understand this. The definition of an omen is to consider an object, a person, an act, a sound, a time to be good or bad for you. I'll get that. An object, a person, an act, a sound, or time to be good or bad for you. And there are basically two types of omens. Two types of omens, a good omen and a bad omen. Allama Muhammad bin Ahmad Ansari Qurtubi, Rahmatullah Ta'ala, has written in Tafsir Qurtubi, he says that a good omen is when you receive a good impression about the act that you intend to perform after hearing something about it. It applies when the thing that you have heard is good, but if it is bad, it is an ill omen. Sharia has commanded, and this is the important part, Sharia has commanded that we should always be happy with good omens and finish our work happily. But if we hear something that we think is evil, If we hear something that we think is evil, then pay no attention to it. Ignore it. Nor should we stop our work due to it. So if you see something that, oh, that's a good sign. That makes me feel happy. That's a good sign. Then happily go about your work. If you see something, well, that's a bad sign. No, I better not do this. I've got a bad feeling about this. I shouldn't do this. I shouldn't do this. Ignore them. Ignore them bad omens. Ignore them superstition. Yes, if you're acting on intellect, if you're acting on logic, that you think, you know what, I don't think it's a good idea to do this because of X, Y, Z, then all well and good. But if you think it's a bad idea to do this because he's over there, a black cow walk down the street, there's a ladder in the road, there's a broken mirror, this has happened, that's happened, you know, the cup's broke, or whatever it is. People have these all sorts of weird superstitions. You know, that they comb the beard and a white hair's come out, it's bad omen, I can't do this today, I can't do this. All of these bad omens we should not act upon. We should not act upon these superstitions. You know, I remember when we were little, the superstition that we grew up with. You know, even the paving stones. You know, when you have a paving stone and you have a slab and you have the gap, yeah. I remember one time in my life in school we were told, never walk on a gap. If you walk on a gap, then something bad's going to happen to you. Yeah, and even nowadays people send these messages, don't they, that, oh, if you don't forward this message to 100 people, then you'll get bad luck. Yeah, again, there's nothing in Shariat in that. You know, if you don't send this to 10 people, this is going to happen. You send this to 10. And there are people that get scared. There are people that get scared. Oh, I've got to send this message. I've got to send this message to 10 people. Otherwise, this is going to... No, it's not. Trust in Allah. And understand that these bad omens, Shariat does not allow us to act upon them. Understand the difference. We need to understand the difference between a good and a bad omen. Both of them have a basic difference. Bad omen simply is prohibited by Shariat, and a good omen is mustahab, i.e. preferable. In addition, taking good omen is the blessed manner of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whereas bad omen, following ill omens, following bad omens, is the manner of non-Muslims. One can expect goodness from the mercy and blessings of Allah by taking good omen, whereas hopelessness breeds a bad omen. Good omens bring about comfort and pleasure to the heart, which are necessary for the struggle and the accomplishment of every work, whereas a bad omen brings about grief and anxiety without any reason. Good omens leads humans to success and prosperity and makes them practicing, whereas a bad omen breeds disappointment, laziness and idleness, leading to diminution. It is stated in Miratul Munaji that it is Sunnah to take a good omen. Herein lies hope from Allah Azza wa Jal. It is prohibited to take a bad omen as it has hopelessness from your Rabb. Hope is good. Hope is good. Remember this, hope is good, whereas hopelessness is bad. Always have hope in Allah Azza wa Jal. Always have that trust in Allah. Have that trust in Allah. That inshaAllah Azza wa Jal, that no matter what, it is up to Allah whether I will succeed. It's not up to that black cat whether I will fail or succeed. It's not up to that gap in the pavement that whether I will fail or succeed. It's not up to that cracked mirror whether I will fail or succeed. Yes, like I said earlier on, whenever you make a decision in your life, make it an intellectual decision. Make a decision based on the facts that you have in front of you. And if as a result of them facts you feel that, look, I shouldn't do this, then all well and good. Because that's an educated decision that you're making today. That because of this, and this, you have decided that I think it's not wise for me to make this journey. You know, for example, if you come out your car and you see a black cat, I shouldn't make this journey today. But then you come out your car and you see there's heavy rain and it's thunderstorm and the weather report is that it's going to be lightning and there's flood alerts and all this. Then you say, okay, you know what, I think it's not a good idea to make this journey today. Because that's based on an intellectual decision. It's not based on an ill omen of a black cat walking down the road or cracked mirror or anything like this. So we need to understand again the difference in our decision making. If our decision is based upon an omen, if our decision to come back to not perform that is based upon what we class as a bad sign, an ill omen, a superstition, then Sharia says, go forth. Go forth and have trust in Allah. If our decision is based upon intellect and reasoning and logic and whatever it is, then all well and good. And that's where we need to make the difference. Inshallah, we're going to take a small break now. We've got the first package of the day. Inshallah, when we come back from the first package, we'll continue with the topic of the day. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
There's a famous saying that knowledge will give you power, but character will give you respect. A person's character affects the people associated with him. A good character will produce a good effect, and a bad character will produce a bad effect, as well as hindrance to many good things. In the homes that observes truth, gentle conversation, good manners, and prayers, often their children also follow the same path. On the contrary, children from abusive homes where foul language and curse words are used, they go astray like adults. It is because of the character that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala declared His final Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam a role model for entire creation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran in Surah Ahzab verse number 21, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Indeed, for you, following the Messenger of Allah is best. The way good character was important and necessary in the past, it is important and necessary today and will be in the future as well. For the pleasure of Allah, analyze your character. If correction is needed, let's correct it. Watch the lectures and Madani Muzakara of Amir Ahl Sunnah and make it a habit of filling out the pious deed booklet. Insha'Allah Azza wa Jal, with the blessings of these activities, we'll be on the path of reforming our character towards goodness. Sallu al Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam.
Sallu al Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. MashaAllah, viewers of Madani Channel, you're watching yesterday, today and tomorrow, and in today's topic we're discussing about superstitions and bad omens, and how Sharia tells us that we should not act upon them bad omens. We should not listen to these superstitions. You know, they have these wives' tales, don't they? That, you know, these people say, oh, if you do this, this is going to happen. If you do this, this is going to happen. You need to ask the question that whenever you hear something, ask, what is the ruling on this? What is the foundation on this? What is the basis on this in Shariat? If it has a basis, if it has a foundation, if it has a logic and a reasoning in Shariat, all well and good. But if it doesn't, then why? Why are we acting upon these things? These sort of things, as we heard earlier on, Sayyidi Allah Hazrat said some of these things are the acts of other people of other beliefs. He mentioned that some of the superstitions that people follow are acts of Hindus. And in fact, some of the customs that we have, if we look at our wedding customs, if we look at many of the customs that we have within our culture, a lot of them are non-Muslim customs. So if we look at, you know, and they say, oh, you must have this, you've got to have this, you've got to have this. Why do you have to have this? Does Sharia say I have to have this happening? Does Sharia say I have to do this? And if Sharia says you don't have to do this, then why are we doing it? Are we doing it because we're scared if we don't do this, then this is a bad omen? Or we're scared of what people will say? Again, in both cases, Shariat is not supporting this. The custom of taking different things as ill omen is old amongst non-Muslims. Superstitious people from amongst them are affected by everything. For example, if a person left his home for some work and an animal passed by him, or he heard the sound of a specific bird, he would instantly return to his home. Similarly, the arrival of someone some days and months were also considered to be ill omened amongst them. Some people think that certain days are bad, certain months are bad. These types of concepts and thoughts are also prevailing, unfortunately, in our society, in the Muslim society. These types of concepts and thoughts are there as well. Islam does not allow such kinds of superstition. Islam has not only wiped out other useless customs, but at the same time, He has ended this idea of ill omens and bad omens as well. I'm going to give you two hadiths of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam with regards to this. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that when you feel jealousy, do not exceed the limit. When you develop a bad presumption, do not believe it. And when you take an ill omen, when you see an ill omen, a bad omen, get that work done and trust in Allah. Get that work done and trust in Allah. In another hadith, the final messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, three things will certainly remain in my ummah. Bad omen, a bad omen, jealousy and an ill presumption. A blessed companion, he humbly asked, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how can the person who has these three habits get rid of them? The three habits, a bad omen, jealousy and an evil presumption. Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, how can we get rid of these? It was replied, when you feel jealousy, do istighfar to Allah. When you have a bad presumption, do not stick to it. And when you take a bad omen, do that work. Ignore it. Regarding this, the manner of our pious predecessors is something to be followed, because these people did not suffer from mental torture by believing in horoscopes or bad omen, or considering a specific person, place, time or object to be ill-omened. Instead, they used to have absolute trust in Allah and do the work for which they used to intend. There was mentioned the horoscopes. People read the horoscopes. Oh no, he's saying this. I can't do this today. I can't do this today. And people believe in that. People, believing in the reading of the palms, what is it? A crystal ball, looking into the crystal ball. Some people look at tea bags. Some people look at all of these things and can predict your future and say what's going to happen to you. Does this have any foundation in Sharia? No, it does not. If you're looking at tea leaves, looking at reading your palms, some people look in the horoscopes with the stars and everything, depending on your star sign. Oh, because of your star sign, you have this character inside you. Allahu Akbar. Going to give you a few parables with regards to this. It is stated that when Sayyidina Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, he intended to travel to fight against the Kharjis, a fortune teller obstructed and said to him, "O Amir al-Mu'mineen, do not go." When Sayyidina Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, he asked him about the reason, "Why should I not go?" He replied, "This time the moon is in Scorpion, a sign of the zodiac. If you go now, you'll be defeated." So this fortune teller says to him that, look, if you go now, you're going to be defeated. These are the star signs. This is what's happening. Don't go now. Having heard this, Sayyidina Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, he replied, "The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and Sayyidina Hazrat Abu Bakr Siddiq and Sayyidina Hazrat Umar Farooq radiallahu anhu did not believe in astrologers. Trusting in Allah, in order to prove you false, I must travel. To prove you false, I must travel." And then he set out for the journey. And Allah Azza wa Jal bestowed more blessings upon him in this journey than any of the other journeys. All of the enemies were killed, and Sayyidina Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, he returned home victoriously. Now the person came to him, advised him, don't. And he didn't listen. Why? He put his trust in Allah. The slave of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Sayyidina Umar bin Abdul Aziz rahmatullah ta'ala, has said that when we departed from Medina, I noticed that the moon was in Dabaran. I did not think it appropriate to tell him what I had noticed. Instead, I said, "Please have a look at the moon. How beautiful it is looking." When he saw the moon and it was in Dabaran, he said, "Perhaps you wanted to tell me that the moon is in this situation. We do not rely," and he said that, "Look, we do not rely on the sun and the moon. We don't rely on the sun and the moon. Don't tell me that the moon is like this, and so I should think about it. We do not rely on the sun and the moon. We will rely and we will follow on the commandment of Allah Azza wa Jal." That is having that trust in Allah. And that is something that we feel is failing now. So just generally speaking, even putting superstitions aside, putting ill omens aside, putting bad omens aside, putting all of these things aside, how much trust do we have in Allah? What trust do we put in Allah? Allah is the one that's going to solve our problems. Allah is the one that's going to give us our risk. Allah is the one that's going to look after us. So why do we not put our trust in Him? And then, when Allah does give something, we thank Allah. Some of us do. We should thank Allah. But then why not put our trust? Look at the pious predecessors. Ask yourself, how many of our pious predecessors died because of starvation? How many of our pious predecessors, used to live their life in such a way that they didn't have any clothes? How many of our pious predecessors died in these states? Yes, they might have died in a state of poverty, that they did not have many worldly possessions, but that was their choice. They gave up the dunya. But they put their trust in Allah. Our houses are full to the brim of food. No trust in Allah. Now, I'm not saying that's haram to do that. But what I am saying is, why do we not put any trust in Allah about our future? Can we look at our pious predecessors, look at the trust that they had, that Allah will provide. They were scared about their iman. They were not scared about what they were going to eat. Nowadays, we're not scared about our iman, we are scared about and we are worried about what we're going to eat. If we're going to have anything to eat. That's what we're worried about. We're not worried about losing our iman. We need to put some trust in Allah when it comes to our rizq and be more concerned about those things that can affect us in the long term. We're going to take a small break, inshallah. Now we've got the kalam of the day. Inshallah, when we come back, we'll continue with the topic of the day as well. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
خدا کی عطا ہے میرے ہاتھ میں دامن مصطفیٰ ہے کرم ہے خدا کا خدا کی عطا ہے میرے ہاتھ میں دامن مصطفیٰ ہے کرم حاجیوں تم پہ کیسا ہوا ہے کرم حاجیوں تم پہ کیسا ہوا ہے تمہیں مجدائے مغفرت مل گیا ہے کرم ہے خدا کا خدا کی عطا ہے میرے ہاتھ میں دامن مصطفیٰ ہے کرم ہے خدا کا خدا کی عطا ہے میرے ہاتھ میں دامن مصطفیٰ ہے مبارک شرف تم کو حج کا ملا ہے مبارک شرف تم کو حج کا ملا ہے نظارہ مدینے کا تم نے کیا ہے کرم ہے خدا کا خدا کی عطا ہے میرے ہاتھ میں دامن مصطفیٰ ہے کرم ہے خدا کا خدا کی عطا ہے میرے ہاتھ میں دامن مصطفیٰ ہے خدا کے کرم سے بھری جھولیاں ہیں خدا کے کرم سے بھری جھولیاں ہیں نبی کی عنایت سے دامن بھرا ہے کرم ہے خدا کا خدا کی عطا ہے میرے ہاتھ میں دامن مصطفیٰ ہے کرم ہے خدا کا خدا کی عطا ہے میرے ہاتھ میں دامن مصطفیٰ ہے میں پھر حج کروں اور مدینہ بھی دیکھوں میں پھر حج کروں اور مدینہ بھی دیکھوں میرے دل میں یہ آرزو یا خدا ہے کرم ہے خدا کا خدا کی عطا ہے میرے ہاتھ میں دامن مصطفیٰ ہے کرم ہے خدا کا خدا کی عطا ہے میرے ہاتھ میں دامن مصطفیٰ ہے خدا ہر مسلمان کو حج و زیارت خدا ہر مسلمان کو حج و زیارت کا دے دے شرف عاجزانہ دعا ہے کرم ہے خدا کا خدا کی عطا ہے میرے ہاتھ میں دامن مصطفیٰ ہے کرم ہے خدا کا خدا کی عطا ہے میرے ہاتھ میں دامن مصطفیٰ ہے بھرا ہے گناہوں سے اعمال نامہ
शफाअत की अर्ज़ शफ़ी अलवरा है। गुनहगार हूँ मैं, सियाहकार हूँ मैं, खुदा मग़फ़िरत कर मेरी इल्तिजा है। शरफ पाया तार हर साल हज का, शरफ पाया तार हर साल हज का। खुदाए मोहम्मद ये तुझसे दुआ है। करम है खुदा का, खुदा की अता है। मेरे हाथ में दामने मुस्तफा है। करम है खुदा का, खुदा की अता है। मेरे हाथ में दामने मुस्तफा है, मुस्तफा है।
सल्लू अलल हबीब सल्लल्लाहु ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Viewers of Madani Channel, you're watching yesterday, today and tomorrow, and today we're talking about superstitions and ill omens. And we need to understand that any time can be blessed and a great excellence. For example, the month of Ramadan, Rabiul Awwal, the Blessed Friday, etc. But no month, and this is the crucial point that I want to make today, is that no month or day can be ill-omened. Mufti Ahmad Yar Khan Nimi, Rahmatullah Ta'ala, said that in Islam there is no day or moment that is a bad omen. However, some days are holy. Safar is also a holy month like other months. The way Allah Azza wa Jal bestows His grace and blessings upon other months, similarly, the grace and blessings can be bestowed upon this month as well. And I'm mentioning this now, and there's a reason why I'm mentioning this. Because I've come to know, I wasn't aware of that, I've come to know that some people think that this month is a bad month. This month is about, some people think this. This grace and blessings can be bestowed upon this month, or rather, it is called Safar al-Muzaffar. This is the month of success. In this sacred month, Sayyidina Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu and Sayyidina Fatima Zahra radiallahu anhu, they got married in this month. Muslims were blessed with the victory of Khyber in this month. Saifullah, Sayyidina Khalid bin Walid, Sayyidina Amr bin As, Sayyidina Usman bin Talha radiallahu anhu came to the blessed court of the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the 8th of Safar in this month, and they embraced Islam. Mada, in which the place of Kisra, Cyrus, was also conquered in the 16th Hijrah in the month of Safar. But unfortunately, and this is the point that I'm trying to make, this holy month of Safar comes, some unwise, superstitious people who are the victims of ill omen themselves start spreading different kinds of messages and misconceptions. I was unaware of this. I'm surprised to read this. There are individuals out there that think that this month in which evils and troubles descend. Therefore, in this month, the niyaz of Kabuli chana chickpea is given, or balls of kneaded flour are put into the sea. The last Wednesday in particular of this month is considered to be very unlucky. That people feel that this month, the month of Safar, it is a bad omen month. This is a month where bad things happen to you. The last Wednesday, oh, this is a really bad day. What is this? What basis does this have in your deen? What are you trying to say nowadays? You know, the question is if there has no basis in your deen, if Shariah says that there's nothing in that, then are you saying to me, astaghfirullah, that you're following something else? You can't be. You're a Muslim. This is what Shariah says to us. Alama Maulana Mufti Muhammad Amjad Ali Azmi, Rahmatullah Ta'ala, said that people consider the month of Safar to be unlucky. They do not have marriages in it, nor do they have rukhsati of their daughters in there. Further, they also avoid many other such types of acts, including journey. Especially the first 13 days of the month of Safar are considered to be extremely unlucky. These days are also called the Tera Tezi. All these are related to ignorance. It is stated in a blessed hadith that Safar is not anything. That is people's act of considering unlucky is wrong. Similarly, many people consider the month of Zikada to be bad and call it the month of emptiness. This is also wrong. The last Wednesday of the month of Safar is celebrated a lot in India. People close their businesses, visit famous and interesting places for fun and go hunting. Puris are cooked and people take bath and rejoice a lot. They say that the Holy Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam had ghusl after his recovery on this day and went sightseeing out of Medina. All of these are untrue. They have no basis in Islam. Instead, the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yes, he was seriously ill in these days. These things are false. People think this. Some people say that calamities befall on this day, and they talk about different types of other things. All are without evidence. Rather, the blessed stated in the hadith is that Safar is not anything, rejects all such nonsense. All such nonsense is rejected because of this. I was shocked, to read this. That some people have this belief that a certain day, a certain month, 3rd, 13th, 8th, 18th, 28th, whatever the days were, the last Wednesday of the month of Safar, these sort of things, we're not going to get our daughters married, we're not going to get this man. Where is your trust in Allah? Where is your trust in Allah? We are told that yes, there are holy days, yes, there are holy nights, yes, there are blessed days, blessed weeks, blessed months, blessed nights. But where in Sharia does it say that this is a bad night? Yeah, don't go out on this night. There's nothing in that. There's no hadith to back this up. So again, if somebody says to you, this and this, ask them, does my Shariat say, what does Shariat say about this? What does the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam say about this? What do our scholars, what does the Mufti Karam, what does our deen say about this? What does Shariat say this? And if they can give you a reason and logic, oh well and good. But if they just quite, no, you need to understand, it's a bad day, you need to understand, brother, it's a very unlucky day, you need to understand this. Look, it happened to me last year. I had bad luck on that day, you had bad luck on that day, he had bad luck. You need to understand this is a fact, it's a fact. There is no fact. There is no fact. Put your trust in Allah. Don't listen to these superstitions. Don't listen to these stories that, oh, this happened, that happened, and because of this is going. No, this has no basis in Islam. Put your trust in Allah. Learn to put your trust in Allah. And when people say, oh, you can't do this on this day, you can't do this on the other day, tell me where. If you can give me a reason, if you can give me a logic, if you can give me, then I'll believe you. I'll listen to you. Allah. Viewers of Madani Channel, we're going to take our final break of the day. We've got a very small package, inshallah. When we come back, we're going to continue with the topic of the day. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
Hadaiki Bakshish, an unprecedented and revolutionary Naat collection in the entire history of Urdu poetry, written by Ala Hazrat Imam Ahl Sunnat, Maulana Shah Ahmad Raza Khan alayhi rahmatur rahman. Each and every verse is a true reflection and guard of the Holy Quran, honor and dignity of the noblest Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam, the Ahl Bayt, and the blessed companions radiyallahu ta'ala anhum, and blessed saints rahimahumullahu ta'ala. As Ala Hazrat rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi was well versed in other languages, Arabic and Persian, apart from Urdu, so he wrote Naat in other languages as well. Ala Hazrat Maulana Shah Ahmad Raza Khan alayhi rahmatur rahman, in his remarkable collection of Naat, Hadaiki Bakshish, demonstrated such great eloquence, along with the high expressive art, that many contemporary and renowned poets and writers were dumbstruck when they witnessed the spiritual beauty of the words of poetry and could not help appreciating and applauding it. The devotional love of Shaykh Tariqat Amir Ahl Sunnat, the founder of Dawat Islami, Hazrat Allama Maulana Abu Bilal Muhammad Ilyas Attar Qadri, Razavi Ziyai Damat Barakatumul Aliyah, towards the Hadaiki Bakshish is matchless and distinctive enough that he keeps reciting the verses of Hadaiki Bakshish from time to time. Even he urges his disciples and followers to keep it with them. In short, Hadaiki Bakshish is that remarkable achievement and unrivaled accomplishment of Ala Hazrat Imam Ahl Sunnat, Maulana Shah Ahmad Raza Khan alayhi rahmatur rahman, through which the fire of devotional love towards the noblest Prophet sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wasallam has been kindling into millions of hearts. You can obtain Hadaiki Bakshish from Maktabatul Madina. Inshallah Azza wa Jal, it will develop your devotion towards the beloved and blessed Rasul sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu ta'ala alayhi wa alihi wa sallam.
Sallu ala al-Habib sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. MashaAllah, viewers of Madani Channel, you're watching yesterday, today and tomorrow. And in today's program, we're looking about bad omens, ill omens and superstitions. And we're coming towards the end of the program. And I want to give you the causes. What has caused us to have this belief in bad omens? What has caused us to have this belief in superstitions? And inshallah, we're going to try and give you the cures as well. The first cause of a bad omen is being unaware of Islamic beliefs. Being unaware of an Islamic beliefs. Like I've been saying all the program, what basis does this have Islam? And again, the cure for this is to believe in destiny. That everything good or bad has been written by Allah Azza wa Jalla according to His eternal knowledge. Whatever was going to happen and whatever was going to do, whatever He knew through His knowledge, and at the same He wrote. If you believe in it, there'll be no room for this bad omen in the heart, because whenever a person suffers a loss, he will make this mind that it was written for me and it is in my destiny. The second cause of taking something as a bad omen is what we've been mentioning all the program, a lack of absolute trust in Allah. And the cure for this is that whenever a person feels a bad omen in his heart, he feels that this is wrong, then at that moment he should trust in Allah. And if he trusts in Allah, then this idea of a bad omen should vanish from his heart. And I keep on saying to you, what is a bad omen? It's something we see, something we hear, some sound, and you think, oh, we can't do this. I've saw that person, that means this. I've saw that person, this means this. And you know, all our lives we were brought up with this. These superstitions, these bad omens. You know that if you do this, this is going to happen. If you do this, that's going to happen. What do you mean if you do this, this is going to happen to you? If it's going to happen to me, irrespective of that. For example, if you see something, you know, the moment we give you some examples that you see a bad omen and then you think, oh, then, you know, go against it and inshallah you'll be successful. Put your trust in Allah. But for example, you see something, you think this is a bad omen and you ignore it and you continue to do it. And at that moment, still something bad happens to you. Then the mindset should be, no, it's not because of that bad omen. It's not because of that black cat. It's not because of that person or that place or that time or that sound. No, this is because this is what Allah Azza wa Jalla has willed for me to happen. So yes, sometimes you may say, well, I saw this, it was a bad omen and something bad happened to me. Okay, something bad happened to you, but not because of that. Not because of that omen, not because of this, it happened to you because that was in your destiny. And now your question is how you deal from this. How you deal from this is what they need. The third cause of a bad omen is to refrain from any work due to a bad prediction. The cure for this is that whenever you have a bad prediction about any work, do it. Do not let this thought settle in your heart by thinking that you will suffer loss due to that bad prediction. Again, if you base your decision on an educated knowledge based on something, on the facts, on the figures and something, and you make a decision that, look, you know, this is not the time to, you know, buy umbrellas because it's going to be sunny for the next 8 months or whatever. This is not the time to buy, I don't know, flip-flops because it's going to be raining for the next 6 months, or whatever it is, you make that decision, then that's based on reality, isn't it? It's based on facts, it's based on information that is graspable, that is understandable, that is, you know, you can see the reasoning behind it. What is the reasoning behind, the logic behind not performing an act because you see a person that has white hair, or you see a person that there's a black cat, or you hear a sound or something, or it's a certain day, a certain time of the day, or a certain day of the week, or a certain month in the year, like we mentioned earlier on. What is the logic in this? There is no logic in this. So put your trust in Allah. The fourth cause of taking a bad omen is having no awareness of its harm and destructions. Because how will a person avoid a particular thing if he is not aware of its harm? The cure for this is that one should read about the harm and destructions of bad omen and try to protect himself from them by concentrating on them. Again, today we're talking about ill omens. Today we're talking about superstitions. How many of us have the knowledge of the fact what is an ill omen in Islam? What is an omen in Islam? What is a good omen and what is a bad omen? Can we act upon a good omen? Can we act upon a bad omen? What are the benefits in acting upon a bad omen? What are the benefits of acting upon a good omen? What are the benefits of refraining from a good omen? What are the benefits of refraining from a good omen? Do we know all this? And I think in today's program we've covered a few of these, many of things we've covered, but are we aware of this? And so knowledge is key. You know, all of these things that we just mentioned, so the problems and the cure, all of them, knowledge is key. That if you have the knowledge of these things, if you are aware of these things, then you can protect yourself. Knowledge is a weapon, knowledge is a guard, knowledge is a shield, knowledge is a shield to all of these things to safeguard you and protect you. The fifth cause of a bad omen is not having a habit of reciting spiritual invocations every day. One of the cures is if bringing yourself to your salah. How many of us put our trust in the salah? How many of us feel that trust should be there, that we can achieve something? Our du'as, what about our trust in our du'as? Remember, there was a famous story that a person, he was outside, I think he was outside a masjid, and somebody came and he was blind. And it was a general that came and he said to him, what are you doing? He said, I'm doing dua. He said, what are you doing a dua for? He said, I'm doing dua that my eyesight be restored. And the person said, I'm going into the masjid, I'm going to read my prayers. By the time I come out, if you're blind, I'm going to chop your head off. If you're blind, I'll chop your head off. All of a sudden, this person's du'as were now different, weren't they? Now his life depended on it. And lo and behold, by the time the person had come out, his eyesight had been restored. Why? Because his du'as were now different. Nowadays, our du'as are a formality. My du'as are not answered. What kind of du'as are you making? I'm not feeling a change in my salah. What kind of salah? You know, ask what kind of quality of salah, our du'as, our heartfelt du'as. What are we doing? Are we doing these things? Are we feeling that pain? No, we're not. So knowledge is key. Sincerity is key. Dua is key. Salah is key. All of these things are keys. Wazaif are key to protect ourselves from these ill omens, to put our trust in Allah. And one of the cures is when you see something good, act upon it. If you see something you think, that's a sign for me to act upon this. You know, I need to do this. I need to act upon it. Ignore the bad omens. Get this mindset that, no, I don't need this. I don't need this. And we hear from our pious predecessors, when we heard about Sayyidina Hazrat Ali radiallahu anhu, what did he do? When the person that was reading the horoscopes in front of him and said, look, you're going to be defeated, what did he do? Went ahead. Again, make these decisions, whatever decisions you make in your life, do not make them based on omens. Do not make them based on horoscopes. Do not make them based on days of the month, weeks of the month, days of the month, time of the month. Do not make it based on the star sign or the way the month is, the lunar month, where the sun is. Do not make any decisions based on this. Make this based on your shariat. Make this based on your logic that yes, shariat allows me to do this. And the logic says that at this time, it is a good time to do that, then do it. Because Allah is the one that will decide whether you are going to be successful or whether you're going to fail. No horoscope, no moon, no sun, no sound, no animal, no person, no day, no time, no month is going to decide for you whether you are successful or whether you're going to fail. Allah will decide. And that is the most important point of what we learned today. Put your trust in Allah. Avoid this bad omens. Avoid these superstitions and put your trust in Allah. And if we learn to put our trust in Allah, then we'll have peace in our heart. Because we won't be looking for the black cat. We won't be looking for this. We won't be looking for that. Trust in Allah. And when you've got that trust in Allah, you'll have that peace in your heart. When you've got that peace in your heart, you'll have that tranquility, and everything, inshaAllah, as will fall into place. Because then you will accept the will of Allah. You will accept the trials from Allah. You'll accept the failures that you have to face in your life from Allah. You'll accept all of these things happily, and you'll see that this is a test from Allah. Viewers of Madani Channel, you've been watching yesterday, today, and tomorrow. I hope and pray that we've learned something from today, and I hope and pray that we learn more and acquire the knowledge of the deen to protect ourselves from these Chinese whispers, wives' tales, these ill omens, these superstitions, or whatever you want to call them. Allah give us the knowledge to protect ourselves from this. You've been watching yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Until the next time, keep watching Madani Channel. Sallu ala al-Habib, sallallahu ta'ala ala Muhammad, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam.
The special favor of Allah. Awliya Allah. The universe is the body and its soul. Awliya Allah.